ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good. Let's do a little producing here. Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. And it's that time of the night. Yes, we're back. We are back. Myself and Riley, the closing bell. Been a little while, but life gets busy. I'd rather work to perfection. In other words, I'm not going to give you anything half-ass here. So if we have us both, or if Riley goes solo or I go solo, or if it's breaking news, you know where to find us. So we're back tonight. Busy slate. But first and foremost, shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to WagerWire. Google Play or wherever you download the app. It's free. I promise you. A lot of big stuff heading down the pike real soon. So head on over there, download the app, and we'll take over from there. Viva Tequila, Seltzer, CT Bets Team Family, second to none. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And Terry Smith at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood absolutely outdid himself. Saturday, I'll be 58. Used to not be great. I'll be working the BC football game, but he sent me a care package for a king. I got one full box of lamb. He knows I am absolutely love lamb. And he's got these lamb chops. Oh my God. Second to none. I got my kids involved in the lamb now, so I got to fight them off. And then he gave me a whole nother box. Filet mignon, New York sirloin, prime, chops. Do yourself a favor. Head on over to Facebook. Follow Terry Smith. Introduce yourself. Tell him JD from ECSI sent you. Then go over to the website at Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Place an order. If you place an order of over $150 this week, use the promo code ECSI. Get a 2-pound bag of jumbo shrimp on Terry Smith. He's from Atlanta. You're on the East Coast. You're in the Midwest. Riley, you can place an order. It'll be there in 2 or 3 days. The dry ice will still be there. I mean, this thing is rock solid. I know you guys have heard of Omaha. Do yourself a favor with the holidays coming, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You'll be grilling all season like myself. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Southside Riley Magnuson. What's up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy to be back. Apologies to our faithful. I was a little under the weather, very under the weather last week, so that's why I was MIA, my friends. So still a little scratchy, but I am back in business, so feeling a lot better. We've got loads of things to catch up on, I'm sure, my friend, and as well as plenty of things that are happening this week and upcoming to talk about. So. I don't know where we start, my friend, but we've got plenty of stuff going on these days.
Yeah, I'm getting hit up here as we speak by Sports Grid. So I'm trying to multitask. Bye week Packers. Take it from there. How's that sound?
Bye week Packers. Yes, that I would say a good timed bye week for the Packers, especially considering quarterback position. Had obviously better hopes of playing a little better this last week against the Lions. Not a must-win out of the bye week, but if you want to be taken truly seriously as a fringe Super Bowl contender and obviously want to solidify yourself in the playoff race, have to beat the Bears next week, who obviously they play the Bears themselves play this week against, I believe it's your Patriots there. But have to come out of the bye week. And under Matt LaFleur, I've felt better about them out of the bye week than in previous regimes. But so feeling good there. Jordan Love, obviously need to get him healthy. Would have been okay seeing what we saw from him if they went with Malik Willis in that game. Obviously one you want to win if you're going for the NFC North. But for the grand scheme of things, you roll Malik Willis out there and you see what happens. And Jordan Love, on top of the injury issues, obviously just got to get those damn ridiculous Will Levis. I'll throw it into that category of those throws. The couple of ugly pick six this year, and obviously the one that killed you against the Lions the other day. Have to get that out of your system somehow, or else that's going to come back to bite you at some point in a deep playoff run. So that is the biggest concerns there. Obviously, move away from Preston Smith. Don't really add anything to the roster from the trade deadline. So not upset about that by any means, but was interested to see if Preston Smith goes out the door and someone else semi-significant comes in, but not so much there. So going to get healthier out of the bye week, I think. Our secondary, again, I'm not saying we win that game against the Lions, but get a couple of key players from the secondary back, hopefully out of that bye week, and look a lot better and look like that offensive team that can get it moving. And as far as a lot of their games are concerned, they've been skating on that edge of too many mistakes and shooting themselves in the foot, and were able to get through it. And so if you clean all of those things up, that game against the Lions reminded me very much of the game in Green Bay last season against the Lions, which I was there for. And then obviously they were able to turn it around and win in Detroit last year. So not punting by any means on any of that stuff. Maybe lowering the expectations for the division as far as that is concerned. Kind of have to run the table in the division at least, and can't really lose more than one game probably if you're looking at the NFC North itself. So got the eyes set on the playoffs, feeling good about that, and they're a playoff team, but you got to clean up these mistakes if you want to go to that next level.
Shout out to Mr. Berry Sports highlights. Always welcome and glad you're here. Yeah, the Packers are a funny team because you got, okay, you played the Lions last week, and I'll just say this, and I'm not there, okay? If you didn't play the Lions last week and you played anyone else, I think Malik Willis would have played and given Jordan Love the extra 10 days off. He gutted it out. It is what it is. It was a wet track to boot. I'm going to look at the landscape now, and I want you to be open and honest with me as a diehard Packer fan. The Lions, as we've said for a long time now, are the best team in the NFC. There's no debate for that.
Clearly.
You did go in, by the way, last Thanksgiving, 7-point underdogs, and that was his kind of coming out party Jordan loves here. But my point is this. 49ers off a bye week. Here comes CMC. We know that train is coming. Now, the team that's the damn thorn in everyone's ass right now is that Viking team. And you know what Sam Darnold can do. I mean, he's had a great year. Like Justin Jefferson kind of does that to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's got Addison. The running game's been good. The defense has been great. So they're not going anywhere. I didn't have Washington, leading the NFC East on my bingo card. And so, rookie quarterback, hats off to Dan Quinn. They've done an amazing job. Giants, Cowboys, they're done. I think Dak's going to go on the IR. It doesn't matter. They're done. Philly is going to be there. Now, let's go to that other division. It's Atlanta's division to win. And the Bucks and Baker, another great, probably should have gone for 2 there. My point is, you're not the Lions. And I'm going to say this when the dust settles. I think the Niners are going to get theirs. You're right there. Okay, and then there's 2 other teams that are tricky right now, and that's Arizona and the Rams. I think those are the 2 tricky teams. Thoughts on that mini sermon that I just said?
Right, and just on those last 2 teams, if we're talking, the Packers' playoff chances getting sweaty, they do have the head-to-head wins over those 2 teams, so that is a massive, massive boost. So if the Packers tie with Arizona and the Rams, you get those head-to-heads, so that's absolutely massive. And then it comes down to, again, not saying, if the Packers lose to the Bears out of the bye week, they, I think, would still be technically in that 7th seed at the moment. But you have to impose your will as far as that is concerned. Like you said, Niners are on their way, and I believe, I don't know when it is, but Packers and Niners play the week after the Bears. So that one, if the Packers can win those 2 games, then I'm not saying it's a done deal that the Packers are in the playoffs, but at 8-3, it's essentially a done deal that the Packers are in the playoffs, and there's nobody that they would really have in jeopardy of losing that head-to-head to, other than the Eagles, if it were to come down to them. So I am with you. The Arizona and the Rams are those tricky teams that could spoil the party. I feel, having already won those games, feel fantastic about that scenario. I think for the Packers, it really comes down to, can they, at the minimum at this point, go 3-3 in the division, get a win over the Vikings, whether it be 2 wins over the Bears or getting one against the Lions. You can't go 2-4 or worse, and then maybe lose that game against the Niners or something like that, because there's tough games on the schedule. So at the end of the day, it's a big if, but if they clean up, whether it be the Jordan Love, 1 or 2 bonehead throws a game, because I still believe in Jordan Love. But it's just those, even going back to some of the games that he did play well in, maybe not the ones that against the Cowboys that went against the Lions, but some of those other games in that stretch, he still had some ugly moments. So cleaning that up, and then, more importantly, or just as importantly, so many of these penalties that they're seeing right now. So I do feel good about it. Pulse, I don't think anyone's panicking. The panic button is not out. If they lose to the Bears and then have a game against the Niners the following week, then the panic button is on the table, and you're listing that Niners game as essentially a must-win game.
My love affair with high stakes fantasy football. I'm managing 19 teams this year. I have to say this: I have a half dozen of them are in ass last or 11th, 10th, and I looked at what was the common denominator. There were Patrick Mahomes. My Biff's Almanac didn't come in with no Pacheco, no Hollywood, no Rashee Rice, and they're starting around in the form. You saw D-Hop just magically turn into the youth of D-Hop. 8 catches last week, couple touchdowns. But first prize, $250,000. I won 2 national titles in 17 for $195,000. And I had 2 partners there. My point is, if I did the same thing this year, it'd be worth about $600,000. So I'm in an online championship. and I got to beat 4,200 teams, Riley. I'm on the lid on one. I'm on the lid. I'm in first out of 4,200
Okay.
teams. Okay. Now, the caveat here is simple. It is unfortunately after 14 weeks, you take your average, and then there'll be about 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 teams in a 3-week race with your average on these 14 weeks for $250,000. I got Lamar Jackson. I got Derrick Henry. I got A-Chain. I got Justin Jefferson, Jaden Reed, and I have Jamison Williams now with Tillman from the Browns, now with Josh Downs. Oh, by the way, we have Bowers at tight end, who's the number one tight end. I got Tucker. And here's the defense, and here's why I'm talking to you. I got the Green Bay D, who in fantasy is 4th right now in points. They're averaging right around 9.5 points. So I'm fighting. I picked up the Giants this week because of the bye week. They're the number 2 ranked defense. They're playing Carolina. My question is, I might pick up a defense, and I don't want to say it out loud in case one of my competitors and do some streaming the rest of the way. Give me the confidence level you have on this Packers defense moving forward.
It's decent. Like I said, you get these last couple of weeks, secondary-wise, against the Jaguars was the one before the Lions. A little shakier. You don't have Jair Alexander and Jair Alexander on paper is a better player. Evan Williams, who has come on as a kind of out of nowhere, really, really nice piece in the secondary. Not having him and the alternative to him has been a problem. So you get those guys hopefully back. I have a very good confidence level. I think the pass rush is going to like Rashawn Gary. I don't think we've seen the best from him. So it's a decent confidence level. My only concern is that there's a couple games like Niners, Dolphins, Lions stretch, which would maybe be a little concerning, and you might I'm sure you already know this, but be looking for another option in those 3 games at the very least against those 3 teams. But then, you get the Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, 15, 16, 17, and that's not a bad trio of situations there, especially if they're fighting for a playoff spot. So it's a defense that in the right matchup is definitely they've obviously played to their as well as they have to that point. So I think the turnovers just slid down the last. I didn't have any, I don't think, at all against the Lions, and then Jaguars more. A couple fumbles. So I think the interceptions will pick back up here, hopefully out of the bye week against the Bears there, and maybe fool them a little bit.
And the funny is that Seattle offensive line is putrid, but the Packers don't blitz. Right. So again, I don't make lateral moves. I'm very content with them. We have a defense that, let's just say in a couple weeks, travels to Carolina. Let's just say a week later, play the Patriots. Now, again, Drake May and Carolina, Bryce Young looked okay. So I'm not going to make a lateral move. Just like the funny is, it's a Lamar team. We have Bowers. I've been holding likely hostage just in case I needed them for this weekend. And guess who's out just magically on Thursday? Likely. So it's just the fantasy gods are so comical. Again, got to beat 4,200 teams. We're averaging about 175 a week, almost 180. But once you do the reset, everyone else is, if I beat you by 400 points in the regular season, you're only 38, 40 points behind me when you start the 3-week sprint.
Right. And the good thing, you need Joe Flacco to stick in there with, if I heard you right, with Josh Downs, because his volume, obviously, it might maybe some big play aspect. I know the week before with Anthony Richardson, he was 2 of his 3 completions or whatever the hell for however many yards. But I mean, you get Joe Flacco in there, and he's getting double-digit targets kind of regularly there. I was ready to see an Anthony Richardson come back. I tried to shop Josh Downs and didn't have any takers, and then Joe Flacco comes back, and so now I'm hoarding him again. So Jaden Reed thing is interesting because he still obviously is really, really good, but from a fantasy perspective is not been as consistent these last few weeks. So I think the Packers will try and force the hand and get him back into the mix in some creative ways though after the bye week here with Jaden Reed.
Well, the funny is we had drafted so many teams. This is one of the final teams, and it was one of these All right, Justin Jefferson fell to us. All right, we have no Henry shares. Let's get Henry. Oh, by the way, all right, we'll take a swing with A-Chain. And then, all right, we'll take our swing with Lamar. And the funny thing is again, in this, you have 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex spot, which can be running back, wide receiver, or a tight end. I've never been successful in a long-term season running the wishbone, but we're running Henry, A-Chain, and Kenneth Walker out there. So when you got a Justin Jefferson, Jaden Reed is fine as a number 2. And as you said, Josh Downs with Flacco, Jameson averaging about 12.5 points. He was fine till the suspension. I don't know what Campbell's going to do, meaning put him in the corner and say, hey, sit there until we think you're better, or hey, I need you this year, kid, and then do something next year, because the kid's as dumb as a bag of bricks.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. And the last thing on fantasy, my biggest issue, I got my main one, a dynasty one that's it's very not a ton of money, but there's some money involved, and it's very, very competitive. A lot more bragging rights for sure with some friends that we've been doing it for a long time now. ETN was one of my crown jewels of my team now for a few years, and now I can't even play him. I've got Tony Pollard, so that's a great another option. And even when they were down 50-10 against the Lions in the fourth quarter, they were still feeding them. And so I was talking at my buddy that I was playing against there. So Pollard, especially in those right matchups against the bad teams, and then I'm getting a little more optimistic that no matter what, they're just going to feed him the damn rock, 30 times. So I'm not that concerned. But ETN going forward, so in this league, the top 4 teams, which I'm the 2-time defending champ, not bragging, but tied for first once again here. So looking like if I get one of the top 2 seeds, you're guaranteed. Actually, I'm standalone first after this last week. Sorry. Top 4 teams have to protect 6 players, and the bottom 4 teams get to select a non-protected player. So I've had ETN as one of my no doubt protections for these last 3 years or however long I've had him. But if this thing keeps going and Tank Bigsby continues to do what he's doing, I might be protecting Tucker Kraft, my new favorite tight end in the world right now. So just venting. That's my biggest problem that I've got to solve here. And at least for now, Tony Pollard is keeping the lights on.
Oh, Pollard, I read on one of our Tennessee sources, they have strategically used a little load management. He is a beast moving forward. Each year I add will not draft to our lists when we get to May and June, of course. And in one spot, I had a Burrow team. I'm like, all right, I took my one bite at the apple with T. Higgins. If he was the last guy in the draft, I don't care if he goes and plays for San Francisco next year. I would not draft him, Riley, with your pick. ETN's another one. Had him since diapers, loved him in college. He's another guy. I'm done. Thanks I will not have him on one spot next year. It's almost the NBA on steroids now with these guys. T. Higgins got his 1-year deal, betting on himself. Once Chase came back, he's like, coach, I pulled, and I've had enough. I've seen enough. It is what it is. You move on.
Right. And he's on that same team as well. And I forget that he's on that team because I've got Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin. So I'm and I had Chris Godwin, so I didn't even have to think about T. Higgins. But if one of my receivers goes down, then I got to lean on T. Higgins if he's available. But I can't get any takers for him. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah, as well as you shouldn't. Yes, guys, I know it's a fantasy. We haven't talked in a long time, so we'll speed up the process. Big Ten football, Big Ten basketball. The Cornhuskers, who I thought they were, my brother.
Yes, let me pull up some Big Ten football stuff. Not the headline, obviously, but Illinois coming back down to earth. Home underdogs as a ranked team to a Minnesota team probably was your indication that things have gone a little fortunate for the Illini this year. They do have 3 winnable games though. Could still be a 9-3 football team, Illinois there. But Indiana obviously still skating along. We get a better test, but still, for God's sakes, they're 14-point favorites at home against Michigan. So that still is probably, maybe Washington, maybe what we thought was going to be Nebraska, still probably their biggest test. I think they're going to show up. And then obviously we get to see what it looks like against Ohio State, who is very, very good, but obviously not blowing teams out these last couple of weeks. Nebraska almost catches them in that look-ahead spot, and now you kind of skate along against Penn State, who's obviously good, but not blowing them out, not convincing. But Ohio State obviously, still in position to go to the playoff here and rematch against Oregon potentially if they can beat Indiana there. So Penn State, they've got a schedule that they should be able to win their last 4 and maybe hope that they get some losses elsewhere and they find themselves in the Big Ten championship. Otherwise, as long as they take care of business, they're going to be in the playoff as well. Oregon's still cruising along. They don't really have. They got to go to going to Madison. I know Wisconsin's not a special team by any means. Going to Madison, if they're sleepwalking into, I don't know, it's if it's a morning game. I'm not saying they're losing. They just might have a little unexpected sweat in that game potentially if they're looking forward to. They got Washington after that, or a couple weeks after that. So Oregon's obviously going to be in the Big Ten championship, and almost no matter what, unless they had an epic collapse, are obviously going to be one of the crown jewels of this playoff here. So outside of that, though, we've kind of weeded it out to where there's no other, if in a perfect world, if they were to find a way to win and be a 2-loss team, no team in the Big Ten is right there, obviously. So you got a lot of teams that are, you play a lot of the other 10 teams in the middle of this conference outside of the top 4 there. You flip a coin for the most part and figure it out. So you're going to have some fun games down the stretch in some of these random rivalry games, but it's obviously all eyes on those top 4 right now, all eyes on Indiana and Michigan this week, but more importantly, Indiana and Ohio State, I think the following week.
So we have Oregon, the separator technically right now. You have a 1-loss Ohio State team. You now have a 1-loss Penn State team. Indiana is still undefeated, if I'm remembering correctly, of course. Now Iowa, they only have 1 loss, don't they?
Iowa? No, Iowa's 6-3.
6-3. Okay, again, brain fart there. 6-3. Nebraska just trying to get one more win to be bowl eligible, correct?
Nebraska, let's see. Yes, they are 5-4, and they've got USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So 3 games they got a chance for, 3 games they got a chance to lose out on. So I'll give them 1 out of the 3 there. I don't know who it is, but I'll give them 1 out of the 3 there. I don't know. Maybe Wisconsin at home if Wisconsin's focusing on something else. But Wisconsin, up until that, Wisconsin's got Oregon next, which they'll probably get. It's obviously a loss for Wisconsin. That'll be 3 straight losses for Wisconsin going into that Nebraska game. So they'll probably be pretty motivated to get a bounce back against Nebraska there. So I'm with you. They're not probably not beating USC, who's 4-5, but obviously we know USC is probably better than that. And then going into Iowa on the 29th of November. I guess I'm with you. They probably aren't losing or winning any of these games, my friend.
No, and the old flash of fate again. They were 1 year ahead of schedule. We get that. To get blown out, 59-7 or whatever it was to Indiana. Then they put their hearts out there at Ohio State. They actually had a chance to win that game, so I applaud them. But then again, then the reality set in there. How about some Big Ten hoops? I know we started on Monday. Wednesday, my UConn Huskies played today against Sacred Heart. I'm very excited to watch them just to see what we got. I don't think they're not as strong, I should say, on paper as last year. But I think as the season progresses, we do have the kid from Michigan State. We do have the transfer from St. Mary's. They do bring back, of course, Caravan. They have Daria. They have Slam Johnson. They got some guys on the bench that I guess have really looked good. I'm excited for them. What do you see in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, so far to this point, it's still kind of a preview at this point because the only test really, Ohio State short underdog wins on a win on a neutral floor the other day against Texas. Other than that, I think about 20 blowouts so far for the Big Ten in their favor. So And we're gonna see nothing else tonight that's worth anything. So it's gonna be a few more days until I'm trying to see. You get New Mexico against UCLA. UCLA is gonna be good. Northwestern, Dayton over the weekend. So it's gonna be a little while before you really see any of these Big Ten teams have any real stakes on any of these games. But I mean, I'm still obviously you get the Pac-12 teams into the mix now, which makes things interesting. Purdue is one of the bigger question marks. So they're still one of the favorites to win this thing, but obviously no Zach Edey. What do they look like? Are they going to be looking trying to replace that void, or are they going to look completely different? They've got a lot of their guys that were around Zach Edey coming back, so that's one of the reasons why they're as highly anticipated. UCLA should be solid. Indiana is the one team that we've I mean, I don't know when the last time they actually lived up to their expectations. I'm not saying they can't this year, but this is the highest expectation that they've had in some recent memory. Contender to win this thing. They're coming in ranked to the season. They've got some good transfer portal guys coming in. 17 that I was trying to find that they are ranked right now. So they did really well in the transfer portal, but and it's kind of a make or break year for Mike Woodson here. If they are a 9 seed or worse in the NCAA tournament, 8 seed or worse in the NCAA tournament, or obviously missing it, then he might not be back next year. So they've got a lot at stake this year, and obviously the fan base is hungry. So that's a team that they could be very good, and this conversation might be for naught, and they rise to the occasion. My Illinois team, who not a diehard Illinois fan, but do like Illinois basketball. Not getting I think they were technically right on the outside if we're talking the top 25, but not getting quite the respect of for that Brad Underwood is starting to get coming into the season, but enough respect to put them as a potential contender in the conference here. It's just once again a lot of new faces. He's done a really good job since he's been here with the transfer portal of turning things around on short notice here. So I think the expectation is that again. It's just, are we going to see another season like we saw 2-3 years ago where, you brought a lot of good transfer portal guys in, but at times it's going to look like they, this is their first time playing with each other, because it is in a lot of cases here. So you lose Terrence Shannon, who was the star of the show last year on offense. But you get a couple guys back, but you lose a lot. So you're really relying on those transfer portal guys. Interested to see in the long scheme of things, if this is the continued approach of Brad Underwood, or if he brings guys in and tries to develop them from the ground up, because he has tried to do that, but he's lost a couple guys transfer portal as well. So as an Illinois fan, I can tell you from a decade ago plus, I would have absolutely signed up for this without a doubt. Despite I think last year Elite Eight was the most postseason success that they've had. So still hungry for more than that, but from where they were, still an awesome job that Brad Underwood is doing. Talked about Ohio State getting that win against Texas. Curious to see what we get from them. Michigan State, high expectations last year, and obviously didn't live up to what the preseason expectations were. So you get some guys back. Xavier Booker coming back, who was supposed to be better last year and didn't quite live up to it. Curious to see what we get from him. Dusty May coming over to Michigan is an interesting one to watch. We obviously, I think it's still going to take a little bit of time for him. I like Dusty May, but didn't inherit the best situation here. So I had to bring in some guys, obviously transfer portal wise there, and then a lot of the Big 12 teams. I'm interested to see where it goes. Rutgers coming in ranked. I'm not sure what we see out of them. That might be a little early on the Rutgers train, but they've obviously been a fun team at home there. And then Wisconsin and Iowa are two teams that are not expected to finish very well this year. Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, that's football. Fran McCaffrey, gonna start getting on the, especially with this transfer portal age. If they start to continue to slip, Fran McCaffrey, the seat could get a little warm for Fran McCaffrey if Iowa is a non-tournament team again here this year. I'm not saying it's a make or break year because he's gotten a lot of good, solidification as the head coach there. But wouldn't surprise me if they slip up and it's evident that he's not adapting to the new age of college basketball that there's no reason he shouldn't be looked at as moving on from him there. And we talked last year, you and I talked ad nauseum about Wisconsin needing to step up for Greg Gard to keep his job. Did enough. They obviously stepped up for the first half of the season, did enough to keep him his job, and then wasn't quite as successful down the stretch there. So kind of again, pretty important for Wisconsin. You lose AJ Storr, which is massive. You get some guys back that are kind of your average or your typical Wisconsin guys back, but don't have the highest expectations there. I guess I'll go in now that we're here, and it didn't have a ton of success at the end of it after the tournament last year. I'll say Greg Gard maybe finishes the year, but we won't be talking about Greg Gard 365 days from now, I guess is my prediction.
I had Ken Palm up here on one of our screens, and I'm just using their 2025 four factors here. Zags 1, Bama 2, Houston 3, Duke 4, Creighton 5, Purdue at 6, Kansas at 7, Auburn 8, UConn 9, Arizona 10, Florida, Baylor, North Carolina. They got Iowa at 10, 11, 12, 14th. Marquette, Mississippi, Texas Tech, Illinois 16, Ohio State 17, and actually Clemson might be 20 there. So again, you got three. You got Ohio State, Illinois,
Purdue,
Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois, Iowa, and Purdue, at least in Ken Palm's top 20.
Yeah. No, I think it's fair to say it's might not be the year that they end their title drought finally, but it's going to be another year where you got a lot of solid teams, and I do think one team is going to emerge as a really, really good team, whether that be Illinois, whether it be Indiana, whether Purdue emerges and stays with the consistency, then good on them, obviously. But I'm interested to see where it goes. I mean, you get the extra travel thrown into this Big Ten schedule, and it obviously makes it interesting there. Outside of UCLA, expectations for those teams aren't super high, so interested to see how they fit in this year and going forward as well for those teams.
Oregon 21, UCLA at around 26, and here's a surprise, Michigan at around 28.
That is a surprise. I was going to say, like I said, like Dusty Maine, I think that is the right move for that program. Just don't know that they have enough firepower out of the gates here. I'm interested to see. I feel like they could maybe it might be a team that struggles out of the gates, and then once we get to Big Ten play, is firing on all cylinders and is a legit tournament team potentially there. I think it'll be slow out of the gates for Michigan to go. Is kind of where I'm at.
And I don't know why we're playing after the performance. The whole world's on Gonzaga, so go run to the window and get your Gonzaga tickets there. I'm going to do a quick little hockey and MAC team totals for everyone, so get ready there. In hockey tonight, the only team total that actually hits the system, Edmonton. Team total over 3.5. You can get that -105. They play Vegas at 837. If you're looking for some cherries on top, and these are the greedy ones that usually don't come in, but once in a while they do. Washington team total over 3.5 +135. And Detroit and Chicago right up Riley's alley there. If you like Detroit, team total over 3.5 at +130. If you want to take a real swing, Chicago and Bedard, team total over 3.5 +140. And in the MAC here, I'm going to throw you a little curveball. Kent State, one of the worst, if not the worst team in football. Ohio team total is 34.5 juiced over -155. I'm going to throw you the curveball here. Take the Ohio team total over 19.5 first half, and that's right now at around even, maybe -110, maybe +110 there. Northern Illinois and Western Michigan. I lean Western Michigan. Northern Illinois' claim to fame, win at Notre Dame, struggled since. Western Michigan overnight line was -1. Now it is flipped, where, of course, everyone running the window sees Northern Illinois. They're like, oh, that's the team that beat Notre Dame as 28-point underdogs. In Notre Dame, the tides have changed. I like Western Michigan plus the points and a little sprinkle on the money line.
Yeah, I mean, NIU still got to win a couple games to be bowl eligible, for God's sakes, after that Notre Dame win. So, not going well in conference for them. They get, I think they might only be 1-3 or something like that. But anyways, yeah, don't have too many thoughts on top of that. NIU not looking as good as what they thought, and they even gave NC State a run for their money to a decent degree there. So even crazier that they're struggling in the MAC there, but. Little NBA, and then we'll move on out of here. Does anyone want to be, other than your Celtics and the Cavs, does anybody in the East want to be a good team? I guess is where we'll start.
Well, it's funny. Embiid still hasn't played, and he gets suspended for 3 games. Celtics, of course, now the whole wide world is on every over prop possible with Jason Tatum, with the return of the Golden State Warriors tonight. A number that opened at 7.5 that's down to 6. Why is it down to 6? Oh, no, Jaylen Brown, of course, who's got a hip issue. So I think this is game 3 now that he has missed. Cavs off to an amazing start. We've been talking about the Cavs for a while now.
Yeah.
And again, this East is up for grabs. I mean, I guess the question to you, Riley, is does Doc Rivers get fired first, or do they actually trade Giannis to Miami? I mean, what's going on here?
I think you got to shake something else up. If you're the Bucks, your only claim to fame is Giannis. I mean, that you struck gold by drafting whatever it was 13th. You got to hold on to him and try something else. If you have to be mediocre for a couple of years or something else, then go for it. But you got to get rid of you got to go with getting rid of Doc Rivers. I think I don't know how long they let it go for. It's obviously absolutely disgusting. They did lose, have a couple tough games against the Cavs, but if you're who you want to be, you got to take care of business there. Their defense is absolutely horrific. Again, that was the one thing where if you had any hopes, you had to be better on defense this year, and they just haven't been. So, would love for them to be better. I'm not a Bucks fan by any means, but I do enjoy some of the players on the team. But I think it's going to be some type of sale around Giannis. If they end up moving him, they end up moving him. But I think they're going to go and ditch Doc and move around some of these other pieces. And I think they might go deep in as opposed to trading a couple guys and moving chairs around the Titanic. I think they got to go big and make some bigger changes around Giannis.
Well, the funny thing is I heard 2 teams, Miami or Brooklyn, and now, of course, the local Mr. Felger on Felger and Maz, who is a Bucks fan and a Packer fan, he grew up there, wants them to trade with Brooklyn, almost like the Celtics did when they traded the aging Kevin Garnett and the rest of that to get all those 1s and all those 2s there. Miami was another destination there. And it kind of sad to say is that the Magic were playing so good, and then, of course, the injury to Paolo there. Out west, Denver now with some injuries. They almost remind me of a flash and fade, a team that was great for that 1 year. Injuries, run out of gas. I guess the question I'm going to ask you, are you buying the Thunder right now? I mean, they seem to be the talk of the West, the class of the West. Are you buying the Thunder?
I am. I'm a big SGA guy, and I think Chet Holmgren could only get better. And the one thing that I like that some of these other teams that are up and coming talent haven't done is bring those type of pieces in that are not guys that are going to be demanding the ball and they can play roles. I mean, they've obviously had Lou Dort for a while, but Lou Dort's not going to be a guy that's getting on the on the press and being upset that he's not getting the ball more. He's just going to show up and do his job. Same thing. I mean, Caruso's only playing 20 minutes a game. So I'm buying the Thunder. I don't know if they make any moves to shift some things around, but it is a really, really solid team. And Jalen Williams is a really nice addition as far as success-wise these last couple of years. It obviously started last year, but as one of those top 3 guys. I don't know if they get aggressive and try to make a move, but I like the Thunder. I think they are really, really good. I was high on the Suns turning things around. They've looked a lot better. whether or not they stay healthy or quote unquote healthy will be to be seen there. But they're playing a lot better, obviously there. I think Houston's going to keep kind of coming up a little bit there. They are the team that's been wanting to get up into that upper next level of competition there, I'm not saying they're competing for a title, but I think they're a team that's going to try and go for it. They might even get aggressive and go for a move. Anthony Davis is playing out of his mind for the Lakers, so if he can stay healthy, that's going to keep them in business. And if he's healthy, they're gonna make a move. As far as their last attempt at the tail end of LeBron's career, and you never know how much time you have with Anthony Davis playing at that level. So I guess the teams in either conference that I think haven't played that well, that still have a chance to be really, really solid. I still like Indiana. They've been a little slow starting here, but I still think they're a really solid team. I like Ben Mathurin to keep getting better. I was, me with getting the whatever. I don't even remember what the total is. I have it in my slip somewhere. The Pistons playing some defense actually, so I don't mind them tonight against the Hornets on the road there. So they might be a top 10 team there, the 10th team they're in for Detroit there, but. Nonetheless, you've got Wemby, who if they do anything, that team's only going to get better, but they still are missing some depth. Not missing, they're lacking depth, I should say. And I think it's going to be a mediocre team this year with the showcase of Wemby, and then they got to get aggressive. Obviously, dealing with the Popovich health issues right now is obviously a big concern. But as far as the grand scheme of their season, they've got to figure some stuff out, and then. I still believe in New Orleans to be a good team. Do I believe that they're going to be healthy the full season? No, you already got Zion game to game right now. But as far as them tonight, they could pose a threat to upset Cleveland for the first time tonight. So I expect New Orleans to get better. Otherwise, they might start shopping dudes if they're 20 and 30 in a couple of months here. So that is one team that I'm watching, obviously, and expect them to be better. But also a team that if it doesn't go well, could start shopping guys like Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, that type of thing. And, whether it's keeping Zion around and figuring another squad around him or just punting and, realizing that he's going to go somewhere else the second he can get paid. I don't know. But I still expecting Pelicans to figure something out this year.
NBA board, what my eyes see is how we read the market. We haven't released anything yet this year in the NBA, but I'll just throw out some tidbits that my eyes see, and then you can come back and talk about anything you would like. Charlotte opened up overnight 2-point favorites. You were talking about the Pistons. Now the Pistons 1.5-point favorites. So if you like the Pistons and trust the flip, play the money line on the Pistons tonight. Next game I wanted to bring up to everyone, where was it? Chicago at Dallas. The overnight total was 230.5. It is now 237.5 at the Circa. So they're expecting fireworks there, Chicago and Dallas. So keep an eye on that over 237 or 237.5 where you shop there. OKC at Denver. OKC opened up 4-point favorites overnight, now 7. So keep an eye on OKC, now -7. It is as high as 7.5 in a few shops. There was one other one. Where was it? Did I lose it? Philadelphia at the Clip Joint. Clippers opened up at 1, now 1.5. That stinks to holy hell. I would lean Philadelphia tonight plus the 1.5.
Yeah, I'll work from there, and I go backwards. Tyrese Maxey is, without Embiid, at least putting up some numbers. So I would expect them to show up and have some motivation there. They looked okay the other night offensively, so I could see them doing that again. And Clippers have been a little up and down and have won some games against teams they shouldn't and have lost games against teams they should. So they're just going to be a weird team, this Clippers team. So I'm with you as far as Sixers on the road there. Like I said, maybe it's just my overall thought that the Pelicans are going to start playing better. They've got a bunch of guys that are banged up, so that doesn't help, and that's part of the reason why they're dogs the way they are. But I could see the Cavs regressing a little bit and the Pelicans waking up at home here. They've lost each of the last 2 games, and they were both at home and didn't have great offense or defensive performances. So I could see them stepping up and covering, if not even pulling off an upset there at home against Cleveland. Grizzlies and Lakers. Grizzlies short favorites there is an interesting one. Lakers, I mean, they've got a lot of guys that are banged up as well. But this Grizzlies team is kind of been an interesting one where they're actually playing pretty good defense. So it wouldn't surprise me if they held this Lakers team down. The total is up high, so maybe that doesn't happen here today. 231.5. These Lakers games have been pretty high scoring, so wouldn't hate the Grizzlies at home here tonight, but still kind of a question mark, and you got to see always who's in and who's out of that one there. And then maybe I was talking about the Spurs and Rockets, but Spurs on the road. Rockets are playing real well right now, and their defense is very, very solid. This is actually already going to be game number 3 between these two teams. They split in San Antonio, and they were pretty close games. So I'll give this one a nod to the Spurs, but nothing too serious. Also have not been, this first 2-3 weeks of the NBA season, I take it very lightly and try to figure out where these teams are going and try to find those, like if it's Indiana, who's mediocre, Pelicans mediocre, find a point where they start to seem like they flip the switch and the market hasn't adjusted to them yet. That is the point here in this next month or so that I'll be looking for.
Closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts. We had that seems like we jammed a lot into 50 minutes there, my friend. I'm kind of surprised it's only 50 minutes, especially with the fantasy football conversation we had there. So, no, nothing too crazy. We've got, winding down on college football, only, another month or so, and then we'll be getting into the playoffs there, so that'll be fun. We should have some fun games this weekend, and then after that, even more hot and heavy after that. So nothing too crazy. You got UFC, nothing special this week. Week after that is John Jones and Stipe Miocic. You get Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler, so a true worthy pay-per-view that you get some names on the 16th, not this weekend, but the one after that we'll be talking about, and we'll get the needle moving for a lot of people. So as far as UFC, seems like that's one of the only things we didn't talk about today. That'll be on the lookout. Maybe we'll touch on that this week still later in the week, but for this upcoming week. But next week, going to be a big one with UFC 309.
I think that second fight you talked about, I don't know if it was Chandler or his opponent, one of those guys might be out or potentially out, and they'll be looking for a quick fill-in with 10 days to go.
Yeah, I was hearing that as well, so not sure what that would mean, but that wouldn't be sad because both those guys are fantastic fighters, and it's one of those ones where Oliveira is he's 250. Minus 250 against Chandler, but that's very clashing styles. But Chandler's obviously got that knockout power. So not sure what we go from there, but hopefully we can get that matchup and it'll be fun.
And it's at New York City. So I talked to Lou Finacaro, who will be here at 3:00 to talk about this week's fights, and very strategic. I'm about 4.5 hours from Madison Square Garden. I was thinking about taking a drive up for the night and go to the fights. You got to position yourself real careful when you go to a UFC fight. And, it's a nickel. It's 500 to at least get in the doors. And then you got to decide where am I supposed to really go. So it's not 0%. I'll say I'm at about a 12% opportunity to go, so we'll keep you informed there.
I was no idea how valid it is. There's some people that are higher ranking media members that are saying the reports are false, that it's in jeopardy. It was Michael Chandler's side of things, so I don't know what that would be. And Dustin Poirier, I think, tweeted that he would be in. So if he is, maybe we get some fun action, but hopefully those reports that they're false are correct, and we get that matchup all together.
And did I read? I think it was for this weekend's card, Geiger out. Is that correct?
Yep. You've got Neil Magny and Carlos Paredes as the main event this weekend.
Okay. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Paul Stone will be in his normal spot talking college football. Again, 3 o'clock will be Lou Finocchiaro in the Octagon talking UFC. And of course, at 5 o'clock will be Ron Marmolewski talking college and NFL like no one else's business. Friday morning, back with the kids, the NCAA Insiders talking college football. We'll talk to Matt about the Arkansas Razorback basketball and football team. Calipari gets his first game tonight. ECSI VIPs, we are actually on that game. Let's bring that one home. And then at 11:30, we'll be back with Adam Trigger. He'll talk about his game he went to on Monday and some more college hoops there. And then myself and Riley will be back for the closing bell. I will be on with Andrew McGinnis on his channel at McGinnis Picks on YouTube. Not sure if it's a morning or afternoon. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed evening. Have some fun, cash some tickets, and we will see you soon.